No, you're a Fed. He's a Fed. Everyone's a Fed.
I thought you were a Fed.
I thought you were a Fed.
All of us are Feds, as we're all paying for the federal government to give us slop that is absolutely horrific and disgusting. All of this as Elon Musk has entered the chat as he's champagning free speech while at the same time alluding that Nick Fuentes is a Fed. What does that term even mean? As Candace Owens is coming out and saying, yep, I'm with Elon on this one. As there's a lot to discuss here, as there's a lot of very interesting reactions to this, as now a lot of people are saying that algorithms are being shifted and changed here. What is really going on? As a lot of people are saying this is the perfect attack vector to try to discredit and attack someone, as of course we have old school COINTELPROB documents that I was posting and screaming about all the way back in 2017 that I think are important to look at right now, as there is a lot of weird Fed-like behavior. We would be fooling ourselves if we did not consider the fact that the alternative media space is infiltrated in one way or another. I will be telling you my personal secrets, how I calculate who's a Fed and who's not, based off my actions within this movement, as of course I've met almost everyone in this movement and gotten to know them on a small time basis. And I have a lot of very interesting kind of insights, especially from my 20 plus years of being involved in all of this and seeing a lot of very peculiar, weird activities and behaviors that, of course, destroy movements and make them rotten for inside. Now, sorry, I just had to use that clip. I thought it was hilarious. If you appreciate these types of videos, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you spend with us. Now, Elon Musk is on Twitter talking about how free speech is the backbone and the bedrock of a functioning society, as he describes that without freedom of speech, the West will fall. And then he argues the West is falling anyway, especially with population demographic shifts that are happening right now in Europe and in the rest of the Western world. Here's a clip that he posted I think is pretty much interesting here.
I acquired X in order to preserve freedom of speech in America, the First Amendment. And I'm going to stick to that. And if that means making less money, so be it.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot to say about this particular investment that a lot of people say has allowed so many people to have a voice, right? If you remember, not so long ago, we were all censored. We were all not allowed to speak. We were all in a digital gulag, afraid to say, learn to code. That's how absurd. As the left was like celebrating the most awful, horrible things, calling for violence, be like, yeah, that's totally fine. Learn to code? Nah! We got to destroy and deplatform, debank you for off-platform behavior. They made up entire terms. And Elon has overall, even though I have disagreed with some of his assessments and some of his projects and some of the things that he says are done, I think overall he's been a net positive. As he's just came out and said, quote, he's a Fed. As people are responding so much for free speech. Well, that's free speech here. As of course he was particularly responding to Steven Crowder asking Nick Fuentes about his views. And after that response, this is what he had to say. The post already has 10,000 likes, 2,700 responses. I think some of the responses are important, as some people are saying there was a ratio. Then there was some potential shenanigans. Some people are saying that there's bots potentially used here. But this is the clip that I found interesting that Elon decided to respond to, particularly when he came out and said he's a Fed, as people are saying, well, Elon's the Fed because he's got the national security clearances, he's got the federal contracts. And then other people are saying, well, if anyone would know who a Fed is, it's the guy who was working and has all the private documents of the Feds. Now, there are some also allegations about J6 and Nick Fuentes that he has previously addressed that we'll get into in a little bit. But here's the clip. Here's the original clip that sparked off this conversation, which I think is important to talk about because I still want to talk about George Clooney working with the Muslim Brotherhood. What? Yeah.
Nick, I think there's some misconceptions of you. I've heard this said. can you clear the air? Nick Fuentes, do you hate all Jews, sir?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you consider yourself an anti-Semite, a noted anti-Semite?
No.
Okay. Clears that up. Do you?
He's been called that a lot, and he has exhibited pretty generalized language and behavior that does blame all the Jays before. Now, has he shifted and changed his mind? He is, of course, allowed to, but he recently talked about how he was kind of mad, and he attacked Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson called him an anti-Semite.
Do you believe that white people are superior to all other races on the planet?
No.
Okay. Do you want to eradicate all non-whites from the United States?
No.
Okay. Well, Barry Weiss will be very happy to hear that. No doubt she's watching. And then because this happens a lot, right? It's you're a Tucker did this with you. Fed. Nick Fuentes, are you in fact a Fed?
No.
And then Elon Musk responded to that by saying, he's a Fed. The conversation continues.
Okay.
Actually, before playing that conversation and going up to the replies, the responses, and the theories here, and my own, at the end, you skip through the end if you want. I'll talk about how I deal with this kind of larger looming question. Who's the Fed, who's not? Because obviously there's Feds. There's a lot of them. It's pretty evident. And I'll tell you how I discern everything. Before I do, just really quickly, check out wearechange.shop. One of the best supplements that we just got. It's our newest supplement that I started taking as soon as we got it. Something that I was kind of neglecting. I was like, why am I not taking this? What in the world's wrong with me? As I now have vitamin D plus K2 with extra virgin olive oil in capsules, 5,000 IEUs. I've been taking 2 of them, so it's 10,000 IEUs for me every single day. I'm going to take it for a couple more days. I usually give myself a break during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and I don't take any supplements. But I will start to take 1 pill a day after 2 to 3 weeks of taking 10,000 IUs. That's just me personally, as of course vitamin D has been shown not just to boost testosterone, but are some of the most beneficial supplements out there. And after taking some, my goodness, sleep score through the roof, all the way in the 90s. And because I was like struggling. They were like in the 80s, and I'm like, what the hell? Why don't I'm doing everything I can to get the best sleep score, and it's still in the 80s. So I was like, whatever. My new vitamin D supplements. I started taking them. I'm like, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 99. I got 100. I got 100 score. And I'm like, the only thing I changed other than my routine, which remained consistent throughout the duration of this, are my vitamin D. Most people, very low vitamin D levels. And then that translates into some very bad problems for them. As we have Dr. Rhonda Patrick talk about how 70% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. You don't even know it. The levels keep going down, and the doctor is like, it's fine. As she talks about how vitamin D deficiency increases dementia risk by 80%, and how people who supplement with vitamin D have a 40% reduced risk of dementia. She says most people need 4,000 IEOs daily to have optimal blood levels of 40 to 60. Magnesium also helps you activate that. That's why we don't just sell that. We sell our SunForce bundle. You take the vitamin D first with your food, magnesium glycinate with your last meal of the day. We can't combine them because you're supposed to take them at different times, and then the combination of both of them are incredible. Check them out. wearechange.shop. I cannot recommend them enough. Huge differences in my own overall well-being and feelings. And I wish that for you. Now, let's go back to this clip. Let's play the rest of this clip, get into the discussion, and get into the actual Feds that are within this movement and how I understand who is a Fed and not.
I'm going to get through these rapid fire really quickly. They're actually, there's not much. So this week, Jillian Michaels will be on the show next week while you're doing Pierce Morgan Censored. And she said that we need to disavow you, and specifically said you had said that women either want or need to be raped.
And then they get into, different types of discussions. Now, here's the response. And again, the first response here, so much for free speech. And again, other people are responding here saying Fuentes uses bots. Another person says, it is legitimately very peculiar that Fuentes never got arrested despite appearing at J6 and telling people to go inside. And there is a video of Nick Fuentes kind of goading and encouraging the crowds during J6. As Drew then continued, well said, Elon Musk. Candace Owens responded to this herself, saying, quote, I'm not an Elon fan, but he's telling you guys the truth about Nick. He works with feds and was working with them on J6. No way to deny that. As Cody says, do you have any evidence of that? As of course, listen, there's no love lost between Candace and Nick. They've been going at it. The first week that Charlie got taken out, they were going at it. I'm like, guys, stop it. As another person says, you work for Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire for 3 whole years, Candace. Sit this one out and focus on your beef with TPUSA. And then another person says, yeah, but is Elon also not a Fed technically? Trump's becomes the biggest Fed of all time. Yeah, you work for the federal government. You're a Fed. Elon Musk works for the federal government. He's a Fed because he has a lot of Fed contracts. Now, people are saying that Elon is hiding Nick's response here. I haven't seen kind of evidence of that. I haven't seen Nick's response, though. You would think it would be up there if he's responding. Other people are saying, look, Elon got community noted. Right now, I'm not seeing a community note on his post here. I'm also not seeing Nick's post here. Other people are saying, yeah, he's a Fed, just like you. Other people are saying that this is the perfect way, instead of debating, to create doubt and stir mistrust in someone who is becoming a very young popular figure in the right wing. Now, what's the strategy here? Every time you call someone, a Fed, you got to back it up, right? If you don't back it up, you are just kind of throwing mud, right? Where's the proof? And a lot of the times we have to understand there's multi-layers of federal informants and agent provocateurs. And if you look at the kind of history of COINTELPROB and how the government previously used undercover psyops and agents and bad actors, they created, 1, a lot of drama, 2, a lot of infighting, 3, a lot of chaos within movements, getting rid of their kind of social cohesion. Now, a lot of people are saying, even in the COINTELPROB documents, even in the other documents that talk about psyops and misinformation, they talk about how calling everyone a Fed and making everyone paranoid that the Fed is a part of a psyop. So people are saying, well, if you're calling someone a Fed, you're doing Fed things. That's another layer to it. So I'm going to do my best to try to take a step back here, as of course a lot of people are now kind of alluding that Elon is being handled here. Listen, I haven't seen any evidence of that. A lot of people are saying he got ratioed. Whatever you might say about this particular issue, this is Nick's response here, that so far has 78,000 likes. And people are saying low, less than 10 seconds. Again, people are like, Nick uses bots. Again, people really like these types of conversations because they love the drama. They love, and look right here, people are like, love to see it. And listen, Elon is still allowing him to have a voice. He's still allowing him to have free speech. Now, him saying he's a Fed opens up multiple type of possibilities and reality here. But again, looking at all the COINTELPROB documents, what we saw in 1969, they specifically made sure that they raised racial tensions and exacerbated this to weaken the anti-war movement. There's a lot of racial tensions now. As of course, after Occupy Wall Street, when the left and the right, populist right, came together, I think this scared the crap out of people because this was Barack Obama's ascendance. He came into office and they had a banking crisis and he bailed out the banks and the people are like, I don't like this. And people from the left and people from the right came together and then what happened? They started talking about race. White people bad. White people this. White men are the worst of the worst. And then we saw characterizations and depictions and a form of fourth and fifth generational warfare, specifically against white men, that have created this larger divide in our society where a lot of people see this as unfair. Now, let's discuss the different types of Fed and how I deal with rectifying and understanding there's different levels of Feds. One, there's Fed informants, right? People who just are there to spy on you, see what your kind of likes and dislikes are. They don't use that anymore. Why? Because there's spying devices literally everywhere. Right? It's just like your microwave here. It's like microphone turned on, internet, Wi-Fi, data. There's like light bulbs that hackers use. They're like, okay, now we're going to get control of the Wi-Fi. Boom. And then they literally, with your Wi-Fi signal, have 24-hour full-on surveillance of everyone's movements in your house, every type of communication, every type of conversation. And they just like have listening and hearing devices. You don't need those type of feds anymore, right? Second type of Fed is the influencer Fed. That works on behalf of the feds, does good work, but some of the times gives the right push in the right direction and is controlled in a way where it creates the perfect type of scenario and situation where it's like, oh yeah, guys, I made a mistake. And people make mistakes sometimes, but when movements are kind of driven towards that, you have to start questioning what's the result of this. And then there are agents that are there just to meant to sow chaos, division, and hatred. Now, if you're going to argue that, I think there's a conversation to be had here about someone's particular behavior and then judging them by the fruits of their labor. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, listen, this is how I deal with feds. One, squeaky clean. Got nothing to hide. I don't do anything illegal. You can't get me. Feds could spy on me. You could spy on all the devices. I dot my I's, cross my T's, right? Accountant messes up, I get caught right away, right? And I didn't even tell the accountant mess up. Boom, caught. I'm like, oh, God, I freaking told you, and I have all the emails, and I have the receipts. I'm exonerated of wrongdoing. Don't do anything wrong, right? Because people do something wrong. They take money from special interests or they compromise their morals. So you got to have good morals. Can't compromise yourselves. I don't work for government. I had offers from huge agencies that are connected to government saying, look, we got money. You want money? I know you're broke. I know the IRS just fleeced you for everything you had because your accountant really screwed you over. Yeah, you look at all the money we got. And I'm like, no, I'll work hard. And I busted my butt. And look at all the videos I started doing, right? So one, always judge someone by the fruit of their labor. Two, have nothing to hide. Three, don't do shady illegal stuff. When you start doing that, you got dirt on you. Boom, people capitalize on that dirt. And there are agents, federal agents, that are there, that are working as like little squires, that are there collecting dirt and information about everyone's kind of who's doing this with what. And then there's other agents who introduce women who they say they're 21, but they're a lot younger. There's multi-layers to this, especially when it comes to attacking, psyoping. And to be honest, a lot of like content creators are compromised. One, because they're just either money hungry, not very moral, and are just literally working through an ad agency that is financed by the freaking feds that are saying, yeah, promote Qatar now. Promote Israel. Okay, good. Here's your money. A lot of them are just for sale. One, don't be for sale. Two, judge people by the fruits of their labors. Three, have moral standards. Don't compromise your morals. Four, keep a distance between people, right? That's what I do. Like, you can never fully trust anyone. You can only trust yourself, right? So keep people at a distance. Your information is your private information. And again, CIA, long history of hiring actors. Now, if they're hiring actors, you think they're not hiring influencers? They are. A lot of them. Sometimes they just do it in very overt ways. They don't even need to do that. They do it through all these agencies. Like, okay, this agency, this influencer's working for them. Boom, here you go. Promote this. Here's the money. And people just compromise their moral. Like, I'll do that. As a lot of people are talking about how there's a lot of Fed infiltration of not just the activist kind of alternative media space. And of course, the alternative media space is infiltrated more than ever. Why? Because it's taken over the corporate media. Now, with the actors and actresses, they're a dying art form. The corporate media, they're a dying media landscape. George Clooney literally talked about how his wife was working for the Muslim Brotherhood to redo their constitution in Egypt. You're telling me he's not connected to the CIA? Yeah, right.
And I went to London to score a movie. And I thought if you're ever going to impress anybody, it's at Abbey Road with the 150-piece orchestra there. And I called her up and said, you want to come see a visit over at Abbey Road? And she's like, yeah, I'm at a meeting at the Muslim Brotherhood right now, and I'll come right over, because she was in the middle of trying to redo a constitution for, for Egyptians. Her life and my life are very different, I'll say that.
Yeah, and you think they don't intermingle, you think they don't talk about, you don't think they use certain people to push certain agendas and things out there? They do. This is just my way, right? What's your way? But always judge someone by the fruit of their labors. Are they causing division? Are they destroying, or are they building? And if they're building, and great, support them. You're building stuff. You're not destroying everything. Good. I'm happy you're building. We're growing. We're actually making progress in this world, right? If you're just continuing to destroy, then the questions are going to mount, all right? Now, even if a Fed is building, still, don't essentially treat people like gods. Don't put them above yourself. Arm's distance. You're building, great. You're destroying, I'm going to keep more of a distance away from you. But if you're building, great, I'll help you. We'll build, and let's do things morally right, and let's do great things. That's my assessment. That's how I deal with this situation. Do you think I'm making any mistakes? What do you think I should be doing? Who do you think's the Fed here? Is it Elon? Is it Nick? Let me know down in the comment section below. I want to be here if it wasn't for you guys actively supporting me on wearechange.shop, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/weare.